This is Record Royale, where we throw two albums into the ring with one another and see which one comes out on top.
My favourite band of the year so far is from Newey, like Chop.
Adam showed me Chop. They're crazy.
It's insane.
Oh my god.
Like,
What's up with that?
they're
it's like
Where'd they come from? I swear to God.
one of them
don't
plays in a balaclava, like the other in a mask, and they're just making music that sounds entirely like if you bundled up all of your high school aggression and were just threw it out at the world, but you were good. It's so good.
Yeah, I was saying to Brad, they're like kind of making Slipknot cool. Like it's kind of like got Slipknot little vibes. It's like so heavy in some parts, like really thrashy. But like
I'm so keen
sick.
for what they're going to do next. I reckon they're going to get so good. Like, they're only going to get better as well.
Give them.
For sure. I'm heaps keen for what they do. Because we don't really know them or anything. I don't know where they've come from. They must be heaps young.
Well, we have that age
They
gap.
are in high school.
Yeah.
It would be strange.
Yeah. So you kind of miss that. Yeah, we're old.
We're not aware. Yeah, we're
We're out of the loop.
We're off the grid. Yeah.
But yeah, that band in 10 years'
Washed up.
time is going to be insane. Like,
for sure. Yeah.
Hopefully they're
Shout,
still
shout.
They got everything.
in 10 years.
Hell yeah.
Heaps of new stuff came out today, actually. Creatorface, ex podcast alumni. Is that the right word? I don't know. Guest alumni.
Yeah, that's
sure,
it.
sure.
Well,
Yeah. Have you listened to it?
yeah, I listened to it
Yeah.
at work though. Didn't have like
So
a good
good.
headphone session, but yeah, it's
Yeah, I
dope.
only had a couple
They're
songs in the car.
they're doing their own thing and they're killing it.
I can't believe how like different a lot of it is. Like they've changed it up a fair bit in some of the tracks, I reckon.
Yeah. Have you listened to
I've
that,
only
Dave?
heard like their one single that I'm pretty sure they threw up on Unearthed and got a features plug.
The
Yeah, I think
12
so.
degrees.
With Fritz and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was sick. It was so different.
So sick. Yeah.
And like behind the scenes, like their Cambridge show sold out like so quick, hey? Like
yeah.
for sure. Them and Shady.
yeah, like at the moment I'm
So
literally just like on the back end of Oztix being like, what the fuck's selling and how can I sell more tickets to it? And I grabbed a Creatorface one and it was like it sold too quick. I was just like, well, I can't claim any of this. I didn't do anything. Like,
Is that when you moved to Brisbane? Was that for that job?
nah, so I moved up because Kate's a paramedic, so she got her first offer to be a paramedic in Brisbane. So it was like, I'm
sick.
working in marketing, you're saving lives, like definitely coming up. Hey, like, I can relocate. And then I worked some absolute dog shit jobs when I first got here. Like I worked at this. It wanted to be a food truck park, but it didn't have enough space for food trucks. So it's just this absurdly long, empty bar that they couldn't get anyone to come to. And it was like... And they had...
Have we been to that?
You're thinking the one in Melbourne. Yeah.
Ah, right. Yeah.
The one in Melbourne's
That
actually
had a
good.
That one was sick though, yeah.
Same one, but in Brizzy. And it just flopped so hard. And they had no marketing budget. They had no event budget. So they'd just be like, yeah, it's an oyster festival. And then people would get there and there'd be nothing happening. Like, nothing at all.
And there's just all these oysters going off. These poor oysters not getting
It
eaten.
was chaos. And then, jumped across
That's
to,
tragedy.
like, the University of Queensland Union for, like, 6 weeks. I was there. And it's got this real weird setup where all the student representatives are their staff. Like, their higher staff are all students. And they're all rat shit, gross students. So, like, I came in one day and there was, like, rumour of someone had left a used condom on the IT girl's desk. And I was just like...
Oh my god.
Nah, I'm so good here. Like, I'm so not doing this at all. So, working with this guy that was riding sports bet every day. Like, I was like, what are you up to? He's like, oh, I've just got a good multi coming up. And he's like, it's not your job.
No, trust me, bro. This one, it's coming. It's paying
This guy
off.
put $7.5 grand on
Sounds like me.
Celebrity Survivor on the wrong person.
Oh
Like-
no.
True.
That was like that whole MasterChef thing.
Yeah, the
That's where
MasterChef
I knew,
one.
like,
That was crazy.
I knew so many people that put money on that. and it was just heartbreaking for at least 50% of them. But
no, because everyone put on that one that they thought they were going to win. Because the rumor got out at a family dinner or some shit. So they all I had a mate from work who lost like $700.
What?
Because he put the house and kids on it.
Jesus.
I reckon they just they heard that the rumor got out, so they just switched it up.
Yeah, whereas sports bet don't have rumors getting out. They've just got someone in production being like, "Oi, who wins?" Like, Amelia was paying $1.10 when she was stinking shit. Like,
that's like the most Australian thing ever. A rumor getting out of who's winning MasterChef, and then the rumor's wrong.
Yeah.
Is that the most perfect segue ever into Australian Music Month?
I think so.
I think it is. We're here for the first ep of Australian Music Month, all of November, all across Australia, celebrating Australian music, and we're here with one person who loves to celebrate Australian music, Big Dave McCarthy.
G'day.
How you been, my man?
Sensational. Thanks for having me. I do love to celebrate Australian music. They often see me in the front row shows with party poppers, little party hat, just celebrating. That's my
something I have not had in a while.
Always brings the cake.
Yeah. Always out the back with a cake.
Yeah, and we're doing Briggs and JK-47 today. Can you give us like a quick your thought process? I mean, I'm sure we know, but for the people listening, behind the choosing of these two?
Yeah, so I figured it is Oz Music Month, and I thought, why not do 2 First Nation artists during the first week of Oz Music Month? So, and when I was thinking about First Nation artists, the first one that came to mind was Briggs, and then in the same beat, essentially, JK-47 just exploded this year, and I was like, well, why not? Like, they're clearly 2 contemporary artists that are side by side with each other and really putting out some interesting, really good music. So bring them up. First week, First Nations, rock and roll.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
We were stoked when you brought that on. Like, I wish we thought of that idea. Such a brilliant idea. I'm stoked we're doing it. For people listening, can you give us like a quick little summary of what you do with Laundry Echo and your goals behind it?
Yeah. So it started initially as I've always run a bunch of different music blogs. I've always written for a bunch of different Oz music publications. And then I just hit a point where I was kind of sick of editors, and I was sick of editing other people's writing. So I just kind of shut it all down for a while, and then thought I wasn't going to do anything with it. And then it was like I was bored. I was really bored one weekend, and I just built a blog and then wrote like 3 reviews, and I was like, sick, this will work again. And I just started this music blog that essentially removed the idea of publicists and like pitching, and just focused on music discovery. So because I'm like constantly reviewing on Triple J Unearthed, it was like, where do I want to write about things that I've run out of words on Unearthed for? You've got like, 2-3 sentences of an Unearthed review. Every now and then you find a track that's just massive, and it just hits you and you want to write more about it. So I've made Laundry Echo for that, and then it went through this insane period of growth where it goes amazing like Facebook group attached to it. So like shout out to the admins for that, because they built it. But it's like essentially a Australian music community where musicians and music fans and industry professionals kind of lift each other up, and they really remove a lot of the barriers as to what the traditional music industry is. Like, it used to be such a secluded thing, and I feel like spaces like Laundry Echo are trying to tear away the idea that you have to be so guarded. Like, you can be open, there's no industry secrets, it's all bullshit. So why not all share in the bullshit? So so now Laundry Echo is kind of like, it's diverted, it's a music blog, it's the place where I write about the music that I love without the influence of any publicists or anything other than me just finding music. And then it's also this amazing community that's just grown itself, which is rad.
Yeah, so sick, man. What you've done with it, and especially that Facebook group, because that's been around for at least 2.5 years now, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it's probably coming up on its 3rd birthday this year. And that was literally, I was sitting at work with a mate, and we were talking about how, because we were both worked in social media at a theatre, and we were talking about how Facebook groups are the kind of like what's clearly booming at the moment, what Facebook are putting all their effort into. And we were talking about making the theatre a Facebook group, and I was like, I'll just test it with Laundry Echo. And then by that afternoon, it had like 300 members and like 2 regular threads going already. So it's just like there's a community there that wants to be brought together. It was just the right place,
Absolutely.
right time.
It's such a good resource.
Yeah, so good. It's become so important, I think.
So much good music on there.
Yeah.
For sure.
I remember when we first found it, I was just like, and also just seeing some of the names popping up. Like you'd see people in bands that you really admired, and when we were like a really young band, we were like, oh,
yeah.
like they're humans too. Yeah. That's cool.
That's what I love about it. Is it brings everyone down to that level and just makes it accessible. Takes away the ideas of the music industry and just makes people again, which is awesome. I remember meeting a band up in Brizzy for the first time, and they didn't realize that I did the whole Laundry Echo thing. And when they brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, I made that thing. And they're like, oh, we were able to tour through Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney because of that. Like we used a resource sheet and found people's couches we could sleep on. So
we've done the same thing. I remember when one of our first tours, when we had bands pull out, need support, who's keen, boom, straight away, done, sorted, just through that group. So if you're an Australian artist, look into I guess network even through social media. Join the Laundry Echo Facebook group for sure. It's an absolute must. Heaps quick before we get into these albums. You went to the AFL Grand Final, hey?
I did. I got to go to the AFL Grand Final. It was something that is so unattainable that it wasn't even a dream for me. Like it was like that will never happen. Put it on a shelf. Don't even think about it. And then all of a sudden, like this. It started to come together and I was just like, oh shit, Brisbane's got the grand final. And then it was like, there's no way I'm going to get tickets. They're going to sell out for sure. And then for the first time in like 25 years or something, publicly available tickets became available. And I was just like, this is nuts. But then I looked at the price and they were like $185 for the cheapest seat. And I was just like, oh, it's pretty heavy. And like I lost a bunch of my hours with COVID. I lost my job for ages, only came back under 60% of my hours. So I was just like, that's a pretty spicy ticket for someone that isn't actually working properly. And then I was driving to work and I could see the lights of the Gabba in the distance. And tickets were going on sale in like 10 minutes. So I pulled over to the side of the road and like hooked on my phone, got into queue, sent Kate a message. It was like, we've got to get tickets. We've got to go. And she managed to actually score the tickets. She was also at work, working as in the ambulance, in the back of the ambulance with a patient. And she's like on ticket tech, being like, don't worry about that heart attack, Gladys. We've just got to get some tickets. But it was unreal. And then the whole journey was like the perfect Brisbane Grand Final window. It absolutely lashed down rain and then was pristine, clean, beautiful weather and just red hot. It was such a good game. It
was a good game, eh?
Yeah.
Fuck. After Dustin Martin scored that goal at halftime, I was like, oh, here they come.
Yeah.
It was great.
There was a couple of moments where I was like, it felt in that first half that, Geelong were literally just going to steamroll us. And then all of a sudden there was a couple of marks, like Shai Bolton took a mark and Kane Lambert kicked a goal. And I thought, oh, we're still in this. And then Dustin Martin exploded. And it was like, oh yeah. Now, like, he's like... It's like unleashing an alien. Like, he's so freakishly good at what he does. You're just like, when he's on, he can just tear a team apart. And I was like, here we are.
People are scared of him, I reckon. Like, I'm scared of him, I reckon. He can, like, turn it on whenever he wants.
Yeah.
They get, like, a free, like, quarter where they get to just... They're just so good. And, like, people just, like... You just got to try and stop that quarter because they can just get on and get going so well, so quick.
Yeah.
It's happened so often in these grand finals, except for last grand final when they were on for the whole 4 quarters. But against the poor Giants. But
on from the first minute. But yeah, it was unreal.
Sure.
That's sick. That's so good. I would love to go to a damn grand final of any sort, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I've never been to any.
I went to an NRL grand final, but I was like 9, so it doesn't really count.
I went to the A-League grand final when the Newcastle Jets won, actually.
Ooh. Oh, really?
Yeah. Good. And I had a tennis ball, and I was like, if they score, I'm just going to throw it on the field, and I did. How like psychotic is that? I brought a tenner just to toss on the field if they scored.
It's like,
Wait, mid game or like at the end?
Mid game.
If
I just pegged it once they scored when Mark Bridge went top right corner.
it's the safest thing
so
you can
funny.
throw on the field
Pegged
as well.
the tenner on the court.
yeah.
I was once running so when I was living in Canberra, I had to run the student supporters group for the ACT Brumbies, which was like 2,000 students who would just wear the exact same shirt and get hammered and loose and break all the rules of going to the rugby. And there was one game where I had this bright idea of getting like hundreds and hundreds of coconuts and making them into the horse hoof noises and just handing them out. And we got like 400 coconuts. We split them all. We hollowed them all out so that it all make the horse hoof noises for the Brumbies. And then the students had them for about a minute and started just yeeting them onto the pitch. So I'm just there with this like wall of just like 400 people just yeeting coconut shells onto the pitch while the game's going. And I was like,
oh my God.
I fucking bombed here. This is the worst idea I've ever had. Like,
Brumbies. Oh my god, I can't remember the last time I watched a game of rugby union.
yeah.
I used to love the rugby union.
I played rugby for like 8 years. I never
Same.
watched a game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of just stopped after that. Was it the England World Cup where we lost against New Zealand? That was kind of, I was just like, oh well, I'm never watching again.
There's a great moment this
Games
year
on
where
tomorrow
Super
as well.
Rugby started and no one realised until the first game was played. Like, you saw the results in the news, you're like, oh, fuck, that's going? Like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like me with
I
the
feel
A-League
like
though
that
as well. The A-League goes for like
Yeah.
11 months of the year, I swear. It keeps going. Should we get into the albums?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Let's maybe talk about the albums. Real quick before though, make sure you're subscribing to the pod on whatever platform you listen to so you do not miss an ep. And if you're real generous, drop us a 5-star rating and a dope-ass review. All right, let's run through the facts of these. All right, Briggs. Adam Briggs from Shepparton, Victoria. He's also one half of rap duo AB Original with Trials. Did you... I reckon 3 months ago I only realised that AB Original is just Aboriginal spelt out. Did not realise. I was like, holy shit,
Really?
that's genius. So, yeah,
Late
love that. Sheplife was his second solo studio album, released on this 22nd of August 2014 by Golden Era Records. That label was founded by the Hilltop Hoods, actually, in 2008.
There you go.
Shout out Hilltop Hoods, Nosebleed section. A few producers on this one, including JT Hazard, Trials, and 6-4. I think there was a couple more, but they might have only done one or a little bit of one song each. 2 official singles, The Hunt and Bad Apples, and this one won Best Hip Hop Album for 2014 at the Music Victoria Awards. Also won Album of the Year at the 2015 National Indigenous Music Awards. So that's pretty dope. JK-47, very, very, very new artist, but I think we might be hearing a few about him. Jacob Paulson is his real name, from Tweed Heads in New South Wales. Massive shout out to Tweed Heads. This was his debut album, Made for This. It was released on September 5th this year, 2020, by New World Artists. I didn't know New World Artists released albums. I thought they were a booking label. Yeah.
Yeah.
Booking agency.
Yeah, there you go.
It's one of the things that really surprised me about it was he put out his first single and then all of the booking agents at New World were posting it. And I was like, this isn't what you do. What are you doing? But I got excited for it. I was like, if they believe in it, like, hell yeah. And if they're doing label stuff,
cool.
hell yeah, even more, because they're so good.
Yeah.
Do you know anyone else said like releasing music through, or is this like one of their first ones?
No, I think this is one of the first like attempts to dip their toes into water, because I definitely haven't seen it.
True.
But all for it.
That's cool.
It's a good,
for
good
sure.
first attempt.
Couple of producers included himself, Jay Orient, hope I'm pronouncing that right, Hazy and Nerve. 2 singles as well, The Recipe and I Am Here, brackets Trust Me. JK-47, he won this year's Triple J Unearthed National Indigenous Award, or he was a winner for that one. And yeah, that's all I got, because they're very, very new albums, and he's not the biggest artist, so I don't think it charted at all. But yeah, so they both, especially JK-47, he's popped up this year. I swear every time whoever wins that Triple J award usually gets on everyone's radars pretty quickly.
It is one of the big ones of the year. Like, it's the one that Baker Boy picked up, and then Baker Boy went on to place in the Hottest 100 in his debut year. And
Yeah.
I think JK's really interesting in that he just exploded out of nowhere and then had that instant support. So he's clearly, I think, someone spotted him and then backed it, and kind of like that new music promotion technique where you grab a really talented artist, pretend they've come from nowhere, and just explode them onto the scene. And they've done that with JK, and I think it's definitely worked. I think he's a really interesting one to look at in terms of where he'll go next and where he'll go from here.
Yeah, because this is his first stuff, and did he only release his first single this year as well?
So confident.
Yeah, his first single came out earlier in the year, and it was one that I found on Unearthed, and then a week later, all the Unearthed stuff were plugging it to all the super users, being like, check this out, like, this is insane. But it was like he followed that up with in pretty quick succession. It was like the recipe went up on Unearthed, maybe 2-3 weeks later his next single went up on Unearthed, and then all of a sudden he was a feature album on Triple J with this. So it was just like, it was a real like fast ride trajectory for an artist that previously, I think he did a feature verse on one of Nerve's singles, and I know he got up on stage at Big Sound last year, and I remember that getting some coverage. At Nerve set was insane, and one of the highlights was this guy getting up and just spitting. So I think that might have been where he got his little come up, which is good to see Big Sound actually work.
There's a YouTube channel called Number One Network that does a lot of like Australian hip hop and trap and whatnot, and he's got a few different vids. There's a lot of just like heaps of dudes spitting bars, and he's in a few of them from like 2019. It's like 2018 as well. So I think he's been in like this sort of clique for a while, but now he's fully come up, which is awesome to see. Because when I watched a few of them, he had the best bars like easily, and he like easily the best flow as well. So I was like, it makes sense that he's come up crazy.
There's nothing shaky.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing.
By the way, we're talking about
the elements
right now, but he's got so much for his debut album. He's got so much class.
Yeah, there's nothing like. I was kind of expecting, because I knew that this was his first album, and I knew like the singles, like what's been played, but I kind of thought maybe on the deeper cuts you might get some shaky verses that are like, just because it's so new. But it sounds like he's a veteran.
Yeah.
Really,
I think it's like a really tight 10 track. Like there's elements to it where it does still feel like a first album, especially in Oz hip hop. Like there's those jam tracks on it, and there's those ones that's clearly where they've got a beat and then thrown a vocal over the top of it. But in terms of the talent of what he's throwing down, like his lyrical choices, his flow, and his ability to just stay on top of a beat and really elevate a track is just unreal. Like it's a tight 10 that just flexes so much potential for the artist.
Yeah.
The other thing with that is as well, like every time I listen to, high energy hip hop, I'm always so impressed when they can keep the energy that I imagine they have on stage in the studio. Like, because he's like going for most of the songs, just constant flow, and he's killing it, smashing it. It reminds me, have you heard the story when Rage Against the Machine did their first album, and they said they couldn't get their live like presence felt, so they brought in their mates and they played a show for them and they recorded it. I always wonder if they do that with hip hop, because they just go hard.
Yeah.
And JK-47 does it as well.
You gotta have all your mates in the room, just like
your entourage.
Sure.
It's like Denzel Curry.
You gotta get really hyped up for sure.
Yeah.
Denzel Curry's like a version. Like I remember he refused in-ears for it and just said he wanted to just be like in the room with the band performing in that moment. You're like, how do you do that? Like it's another level of just natural fucking. I can't even put a
talent.
Like everything in music theory is based in this like 17th century white people ideas, and then all of a sudden this raw ability to just fucking smash a track comes out of nowhere, and it just throws all of that out, and you're like, well, that's hectic, and that rules.
I think the beat choices on made for this it's a good mix of like just like trap, and like I think some of the boom bap tracks are pretty good. Is it?
Yeah.
Which one was it? Was it the On One?
Yeah.
No, the Recipe. Yeah.
The Recipe.
The
Recipe.
That's like some Wu-Tang sort of stuff. I was like,
yeah.
shit. Yeah. It was really like tasteful. I think he just did a really good job of it and wasn't too inspired by it at the same time. I think that was one of my highlights.
Even Abandoned, the first track.
Yeah,
it's pretty disjointed. Sounds like Jay Dilla, sort of like
for sure. Yeah.
on the back.
Yeah, all the samples
like
are chopped really well. So I wonder who. I want to try to get to know who did all these ones. Who'd you say? Was it?
He said that he was a producer, wasn't he?
Yeah, he produced himself as well as Jay Orient, Hazy, and Nerve. So who you spoke about before?
Right.
Mad. Yeah, really, really tasteful.
I think the standout track for me, in terms of production, is that one he did with Nerve, the On One, where it's just like it hasn't been released as a single or anything, but it's the biggest track on the album in terms of how it sounds. Like all the production choices in it just elevate it to another level, and JK sits within it and matches that level as well. Yeah, where it's
I feel like it got a fair bit of play on Triple J too. Even though I don't think it was a single, I think they were just like, this is such a good track, and just gave it a pretty solid
it's
run.
The advantage of your feature album.
Obviously, yeah.
I'm keen to see like his, I don't know, album after this, or even album after this, when he really hones in on what kind of sound he wants to go for. Because I think with Briggs, what he does so well is he just like, he doesn't fall into any like trap, because this album came out in 2014, so that's pretty still. We talked about it in the Miley Cyrus JB episode, like dubstep's just coming out, but he's just like completely himself and does exactly what he wants and talks exactly what he wants to talk about. And I think he does that so well, especially on the first couple of tracks. I think Let It Be Known, the opener. That song is huge. The backing band, they would pass on like any rock album.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
I was gonna say like the instrumentation on the Briggs album on Sheplife. Like if you think about the music that was coming out from Australia in 2014, like the biggest albums were Shep Faker, Angus and Julia Stone, Vance Joy. I think All Day maybe debuted that year, and Sia.
Oh, Daisy.
So you think about like the other artists that were in there putting out the big tracks at that time, and then you think about what Briggs has produced, and even though it's a hip hop album, it's arguably like the best rock album at the same time. Like it's the best guitar album
for sure.
I know Dan.
Yeah. The performances are crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Dan Sultan put out an album that year which might rival it, but like sort of riffs and just absolute shredding throughout the entire album are just nuts, and like you just don't get it in Aussie hip hop. So it's just such a refreshing take to have such a massive band behind him.
I do have written down that some of his influences were The Living End, Green Spoon, Kiss Chasey, Operator Please.
Yeah.
So he's like identified those Australian artists as his influences.
That was one of my True Truths in a Life.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'll be thinking of another
quick little Google search right now.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good. We had to do that last week. It's all good. It's all good. You'll sort it. That the Briggs album, Sheplife as well. I never knew. Obviously, I don't know where Shepparton is, but just from listening to this album, you get such a good picture of what it's like to live there. Well, I assume. Yeah,
I think like it's probably the strongest takeaway from both albums, and it's an interesting parallel between them. That like JK is so proud of being from Tweed Heads, and he references being from Tweed Heads, and then you've got Briggs, who's super proud of calling Shepparton home, which is like regional Victoria. It's it's kind of the laughing stock of a lot of Melbourne jokes, but he's so proud, and he gives such place to it, but also paints such an honest picture of it. Like both artists do. They really give you that human perspective to these areas that get spoken about as like, there's no way around the fact that they're lower socioeconomic areas. They're areas with a lot of problems with substance abuse, but they're so often tossed aside and not really thought about. But then all of a sudden, when you're put through the eyes of an artist who has a lived experience and is still proud to call these places home and talk about it like it's where his family is, it's where his little girl is being raised, and it's where he wants to be, it makes you realize that there's like there's so much more in these communities than what they're often given credit for, and it's an interesting perspective into it.
For sure. Well said.
Yeah, that's sick. I think with the Briggs album as well, it's super aggressive at points, but it's also quite endearing. But it's also, I wrote down hostile at points because I read that he said about, in specific, the song Bad Apples. It was like, I wanted to put that fear back in hip hop, that voice, that fist back into rap music, because I hadn't seen it in Australia for so long. Which, when you listen to that song Bad Apples, you can just tell that was his intent.
Yeah. And like, it's such an interesting point as well when it comes to hip hop in Australia. Like, I'm sure my jumping off point into hip hop was the same of most people across the country with Hilltop Hoods, which is like party vibe, nothing too serious, it never gets down or anything. And then like you've got Draft and Pez putting out a festival song and like 360 and it's just like none of it is it's Australian hip hop, because that's what it is. It's like it's party music, it's vibe music. And then the traditional roots of hip hop is it's protest music. Like it's come from the same place as punk, in that it's come about to represent community and be a counter narrative to culture. And that didn't exist in Australian hip hop. And then all of a sudden you get someone like Briggs come along who puts a bunch of issues on the table through his art, through hip hop, and shows the power of the medium again. And it's such an interesting thing to, like, it's exciting and it is scary. And I think we're the audience that he wanted to scare. And it's a good thing that it's worked. Like, I think any piece of art that can make you feel different, or even if it's a negative experience, is a successful piece of art. Like, if you go into something, I remember going to an art gallery exhibition of this dude Mike Parr, who has like one arm and does all his cooked mean shit. And I remember walking in just high on life. I was having a real good day, and I went to his art exhibition. I came out the other side and I was mentally scrambled. I was like, well, that was awful but very successful, because that's what the artist wanted to do. Whereas Briggs has, like, what he's done is he's essentially come at these songs with an absolute punch. Like, he hits you so hard and he makes you think about these issues, but he's got such a beautiful character about him that it is endearing. Like, you like the way he does it, because it's almost like he's slapping you in the face with a smile, leaving all these issues on the table and saying, hey, I'm not really done with this, but we should probably talk about it. Like, this shit exists and it's been hidden, and here it is, and this is how I feel about it, and I'm angry, but let's have a chat.
Yeah.
It's exactly, well, he said he's very inspired by, like, Wu-Tang and NWA and Dr. Dre and all of them. So it makes sense, because that's what they were trying to do, I guess, back in the late 80s as well. And,
90s,
and it's the same issues. So he's done it in a really good way.
Yeah.
It helps with the... I mean, JK-47 drives his points home well, but I think with Briggs, the band aspect helps it a lot as well. It just puts it right in your face, and it's really sick with that.
Yeah, like, I feel like JK-47, a lot of his tracks are carried on JK-47's voice and lyrical choices, whereas Briggs feels like he's part of everything that he's putting forward. Like, it isn't like he's riding on top of the beat. It's like Briggs is so... like, he's got a real instrumental quality to the way he uses his voice that it makes him sit within it. And those themes kind of drive up and out with it. Like, everything, like, when he wants to deliver a moment of potency, the band comes with it. Or when he wants to drop it off and make you think, it all drops off and makes you think. Like, he's orchestrating something really, really intelligently.
Kind of feel like you know him by the end of the album a little bit, because he brings in a lot of recurring themes and stuff about, like, his daughter, and a lot of things about his life all the way through it as well. And he is, like, there's so much conviction. There obviously is with JK-47 as well, but such a recognizable voice. Almost like, not that he's a character, because he's obviously a real person, but, like, it is kind of like it's kind of like watching a TV show or something. Like, this character, and you know it really well by the end of the...
Yeah, for sure.
Develops, and it's consistent over the album, so that, there's not too much changing around of, like, you know what you're getting with Briggs. which is sick.
Yeah, and I think
awesome.
Very
this was
important.
really his first point of like developing that. It's not so much a character; it's just developing his character on a stage. That's
his
known,
character
yeah.
and
he's gone on from here to be like he's just such a force of an Australian creative at the moment, and I think he's going to continue to be for. I reckon people will be able to have this conversation about Briggs in 20 years' time because he's this comedy writer, he's an author, he's got AB Original as well, he's got his own record label, he wrote Disenchanted, is it the Matt Groening Simpson guy Netflix series, like wrote episodes of that, black comedy.
Crazy.
The dude just is a workhorse. Like he's the
It's kind of like Childish Gambino. Yeah.
Man.
Just does it all.
You can do it all. Yeah. For sure.
Alrighty. Nice stuff, guys. Shall we get into the segments?
Yeah, let's do
have a
it.
go.
Alrighty.
I just sorted my 2 truths.
Oh,
no.
look at you, double
On the
tasking
fly.
legend.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, lads, let's get into Get Inked.
Get inked.
We're gonna make some tattoo ideas from these lyrics from the albums. All right, Dave, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I've got a few. None of them are great.
All right, take
but
it away.
Let's give it some. So I thought the most simple first one for Sheplife with Briggs is you could go some knuckle tat. You could go some knuckle tats.
There it is.
Sheplife.
Sheplife.
It's
Works
perfect
perfectly,
lettering. Like if you were from Shepparton,
actually
just
too easy.
throw it across your knuckles, and that would be so good. That initially came from just thinking of like getting a bra boy style. Shepparton in like goth font.
Shout out to the
around
Bra
your neck.
Boys as well. Yeah.
Shout out to our Bra Boys. We're big Bra Boys fans. Okay. You know us.
Shout out to Central Coast. Yeah.
One from JK-47. It was just like one of his lyrics was stuck on the hustle like this bubble gum that's under your seat. And I thought maybe as a little reminder to always hustle, you could get like a little bit of chewed up bubble gum tattooed on your ass.
That's a good one.
Every time you
That is really good.
butt naked, it's like, let's go.
Yeah. And then
Back on the grind, baby.
my last one is just like from the track Purgatory by Briggs. And he's got a lyric in there, fish too big for the pond. And I just had an image of like a big fucking oversized koi fish sitting in a pond like it's an inflatable pool with a cigar and a scotch just lazing back. I just like
Out. Yeah.
That's
love
heaps
the
good.
idea of just a ball of fish.
Yeah.
That's heaps good.
Probably
Makes
on the
you
chest.
then.
Yeah.
Big chest piece.
They were all really good.
Yeah, that's nice.
Well played.
Mine for Sheplife by Briggs is also from the song Purgatory. The line is, "We carry our demons, we carry our beatings, we carry our dead to earth." I know this is not what he intended this song lyric to be, but this is what the tattoo is going to be. So it's the devil carrying... The devil is just like carrying a baseball bat in one hand, and over the other shoulder he's got like a dead man just down his back. And he's just like... I'm thinking, what's the American... What's it? Uncle Sam, is it?
Mm.
And he's just like looking, he's like, "I want you," but he's got his baseball bat,
nice.
and it's the devil, so that's pretty gruesome.
Whoa.
And then for
Pretty,
JK-47 from The Recipe, the line is, "The throne's mine, and I am going to take it just like I'm Simba." So it's just JK-47 riding Simba like a horse on his 2 front legs. Just like,
Huge back tat.
yeah. Yeah. Big sunset in the background probably as well.
Yeah.
That's
Rate
the
it.
one.
Nice.
What are yours, Brad?
I'll go. Okay, so mine was from Bad Apple. I think they say one bad apple can spoil a whole bunch. I was thinking like an archer, and he threw his bow. This isn't part of the tap, but he's just like, there's like they use apples for practice for like bows and arrows. So I was thinking like a bad apple, but then it's like taken out. He's like got a big 5-man collat, and then it's gone through all these apples, and then hitting like an arrow board as well. So it's like an arrow board with 5 apples going through this arrow on maybe like the shoulder or something. So,
Decent.
pretty crazy.
That's so thought out. You
Done
even had the
really-
backstory to it.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
there's an element of that
Yeah.
tattoo that isn't involved in the tattoo, and it's probably the main element of the tattoo.
That's what I was going for. Maybe the next
Yeah.
chat. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking for the recipe of JK-47, I think it's just the give me cheddar, give me cheddar. I need the extra cheese. I'm just thinking a nice like little just cheese platter tattoo. Surely,
Yeah.
surely the millennial ladies would get around a nice little cheese platter, some grapes.
It shows you
I
classy.
don't know, wherever you want. Maybe on the stomach. Yeah, glass of bubbly. Just a nice little cheese platter tap.
A little bit of the
have the
bubbly.
same.
If you want, if you like.
I was gonna have the same lyric.
Yeah.
For JK-47, but I was just gonna have like a little recipe note, like a shopping list
To get.
that just says extra cheddar and extra feta, and that's all you need. It just says the recipe. But my one for Briggs was from Sheplife, and it was without fail, rat's tails prevail. It was just like a permanent rat's tail on your neck. Like, that would be pretty sick.
That's festive.
That'd be pretty nice.
You need a permit for that tattoo.
Yeah, you get. Yeah,
That's the kind of one you want in a nursing home, because like there's always that. Whenever you talk about your tattoos, people will always be like, "Oh, but what are you going to be like when you're old?" And you're like, "It's going to rule," especially if you had a dirty rat tail and that was all you had for hair.
And
Like,
you're bald. Yeah,
Bald.
just in case I go bald, I always want to have a rat's tail. That's nice.
Smashed it, lads.
That's
All
tattoo
right,
of the year right there.
let's smash another segment. We're gonna make movie plots because it's time for the pitch. All right,
Nice.
we're making some plots. We're sending them to Sony, and we're signing on the dotted line for these. Dave, what's your movie?
okay, so my movie is called The Recipe, and it's essentially one day your classic Australian barbecue, except it's like there's extended family, a couple of friends of family, and like the classic racist uncle has shown up. And he's just causing havoc. Everyone's had enough of him. But there's little Jay who's in the kitchen, and he's cooking up a mean steak sandwich on the barbecue. And when he serves it, miraculously, the racist uncle isn't racist anymore. And he realizes he's figured out the recipe to end racism. And he thinks about it for a while. Yeah, he thinks about his steak sandwiches, and he thinks, what could I do with this? And he thinks about, like, should he go to Parliament, or should he, like, you know, try and tackle racism in his own community? But then he goes even further, and he gets the help of a mad scientist who has invented time travel.
Oh.
And he goes back in time, and he just beats up the world's most famous racists, and then makes them eat sandwiches. So you just got this guy who's like time traveling, probably in like a Commodore, and just rolling up and like just bashing Hitler, and then making him eat a sandwich and changing the course of the world. And it's just
That's so
heaps
good.
it's just a time traveling romp with steak sandwiches ending racism. I reckon it'd be shot in the style of Kung Fury, I think. Or yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, great movie. I love that movie.
Crazy. Well played. That's it.
Mine this week is I don't know if we're allowed to do it, because so I did Full Speed from JK-47. But so I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I've made a sequel to a movie that already exists.
Okay.
So mine is a sequel to Speed, the movie with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. It's called Speed. I thought there was only one Speed when I was looking this up. There was actually two Speeds. There was Speed 2, which was called Cruise Control, which was exactly the same premise on a cruise ship.
On a boat, baby.
And yeah, on a boat. And guess who the bad guy was?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Oh, no way.
So it just all fell into place. I don't know if you've listened to any of these pods, Dave, but he's been a feature of all my pitches so far. So this one is Speed 3, Full Speed. 25 years after the original Speed. Full Speed sees Jack Travern, which is Keanu Reeves' character, investigating new electric self-driving buses that are being introduced to New York City. And on launch day, Jack rides on one of the buses undercover as a simple civilian when the bus suddenly swerves across the road, reaching speeds of 200 k's per hour. It's revealed that John Geiger, William Dafoe, the villain from the critically acclaimed sequel to Speed, Speed 2, has once again taken control of the city's public transport system. He appears on the screens of the bus, acknowledging Officer Chabin as a passenger, and demands that he gets in touch with the city and deposit $500 million into his offshore bank account, or he will throw the bus off the Brooklyn Bridge. And that's the plot.
Awesome.
Then,
full speed.
Yeah, then chaos ensues. Yeah.
I reckon they'd get up.
Yeah.
Well played.
It's about time for a reboot of Speed.
I reckon that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
For sure.
Actually, apparently Speed 2 didn't have Keanu Reeves because I think he might have already done The Matrix or something. And he was just like, I'm not coming back for this big pile of
Gone
shit.
into documentaries.
There you go.
Yeah, bring it back.
Maybe bring it back. I think Speed 2 is known as one of the worst movies of all time. So they might be a bit sore from that
Hey,
one.
don't go offending Speed 2 fans out here.
Sorry, guys.
Bit of trivia for my dad. He had to go see Speed 2 something like 18 times because it was like he said of his bizarre job where he was like, we lived in Sydney in this massive house with all these bunk beds, and if kids from the country wanted to do work experience in the city, they'd just come stay with us. And for whatever reason, there was a period of weeks where, and like Dad would take him around, show him the sights, take him to a movie and stuff. And there was a period of weeks where Dad, the only movie he wanted to see was Speed 2 at the movies. So he went to see it again and again and again, like each time with a different child, being like, how's work experience
His choice
going?
or the kid's choice?
His choice, just like... So Dad took a
what?
series
What
of
a trooper.
teenagers along to see Speed 2 time and time and time
That's
again.
crazy.
Whoa. Just love it.
That sounds like a good like documentary.
It's
just to watch like a
That could be the movie in itself.
Yeah. You would go crazy by the end of it.
My movie's also called Full Speed from Made for This. So it's the exact cast of the Little Rascals as they were in the movie. So they're still, whatever age they were,
Still
6,
children.
7 years old.
Yep.
So have you all seen the Little Rascals?
Yeah, of course.
Well, if you haven't, at the end of the Little Rascals, the big finale is this go-kart race. But in Full Speed, the Little Rascals don't ride go-karts. They ride full-on Ferraris, and they have their own car racing community. So Full Speed is filled with lots of partying, lots of drugs, and most importantly, lots of fast cars. All from the 6-year-olds, by the way.
But it's very obscure.
Yeah.
This is as obscure as we've had, I reckon.
Yep. So, but anyway, the end of the movie is exactly like Little Rascals, but it's a big car race. At the end of the Little Rascals, they need to get money for their clubhouse. But this one, they're competing to get Darla, one of the characters, out of a hostage ransom situation in a big
You're crazy.
in a big car race, and they're all 6 years old.
It just sounds like the writers of Rascals just all did heaps of cocaine. And they were just like, yes, this is a great idea. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how they'd
Drugs.
that. They'd have to work. I don't know. It's 2020. They'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Sony.
They can do it all.
All right. Brad, what's yours?
Okay.
Mine's called Mike Tyson Love Thing from the Briggs album. Okay, so it's a bit. This sucks.
This is already funny, mate.
A bitter, sad story of a young whippersnapper that goes by the name of Kelly Conrad, a skinny teenager from the South. Fascinated by Mike Tyson and his brutal strength and charisma, Conrad begins to bully his way through life, bulking and sparring his problems away. But unaware of his actions, Conrad finds himself alone and lonely in his mid-20s, still chasing the dream to meet and beat Mikey T. Inspiration turns to fixation as Conrad seeks identity through Tyson, getting the same tats and biting people's ears off when he boxes. Alone and depressed, he decides to streak onto the ring during Mike Tyson's heavyweight title defense and land a stroke to prove that he can be just like Mike. That's all I've got.
I would watch that.
So it's
I
kind
don't
of
know what
like
happens at the end. I don't know whether to make it like bittersweet or just like he just loses. It's more about like the failing of public school systems and low socioeconomic. It's more about that. But this is just like the plot. Yeah, it's more about the public school system failing him, I think.
So it's deep social commentary that ends with a kid socking Mike Tyson.
but just with a really, really silly premise as well. But it's super serious.
Yeah, so that what makes a great movie,
good.
right? Yeah, cheers, guys.
I
That's
like
like
it.
my best one I've ever done. I reckon.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That's
like
so
that.
good. That was awesome. That was actually brilliant. And I would watch that. What was it called? What's the song called again? Mike Tyson Love
Mike
Thing.
Tyson Love Thing.
Yeah. Be like Mike. That's awesome.
It's all in the title. It's quite funny, but it's super serious as well. Yeah. There you go.
And at the heart of it,
well.
it's just, a strong message about the public school system. Okay, let's do 2 truths and a lie. Oh, wait, no.
Have we done the ad? We're doing the ad?
Wrong.
Yeah.
Let's do the ad first. Yeah, my bad. We got to add some songs to the playlist. You can find on Spotify, the Record Royale ads. There is a lot of songs in there because this episode, 29?
Oof.
That's a lot of songs. Cool. 1 song from each album. Dave, what are you picking?
Hard choice, but I went with, off JK-47's album, I went with the track Out of Time, One Take, just because I figured a lot of his album, it's a really raw album, and it's definitely a first album. But I think if there's any track on there to show the raw potential and the talent that this guy has, it's Out of Time, One Take, because it's a one-take track where he just opens up on a microphone and he lays out such considered and succinct thoughts and some serious commentary, and you're like, you could get a speech writer and it'd still come up with nothing, not half of what this is. It's such a potent moment on the track and on the album, and the track's so basic, but it just shows how he can elevate a track. It blew me away. I remember I was driving along, so I couldn't see what the tracks were, put that one on, and I just could not believe when I pulled up it was a one-take track. That's just nuts. So that's my track for JK. And then with Briggs, my favorite Australian song of all time is Bad Apples, but and it has been for years. You could have asked me 2 years ago what my favorite track is, I'd say Bad Apples. You could ask me tomorrow, I'd say it's Bad Apples. But the track I've picked for this one is actually Purgatory, Let It Go, just because I feel as I revisited the album, I'd listened to The Hunt and Bad Apples constantly since this came out, but Purgatory, when I listened to it again, was when it hits its drop, all the hairs on my body stood up. It was one of those genuine moments of just fucking awe-inspiring hit. The drop's so big, the song is so emotionally charged that I was just floored by it. And then every time I listened to it again to get ready for this podcast, the exact same thing happened. It just hit me harder than any of the tracks on the album. And I was just like, those are my favorite songs, but this song just absolutely slaps. It's such a big moment.
Awesome, man. Cool. For JK, I also had Out of Time, One Take. So I'm going to do The Recipe, lead single. As soon as I heard it, I was like, this is the single, isn't it? It pops so hard. Yeah. That track. And for Briggs, I had Let It Be Known, the first song. That is such a good opener. And the synth in that song is huge. The big... so organ, good. So epic. What are yours, Adam?
Brad? I went for... Oh, sorry. Who are we going? Am I going?
You can go.
I'll go. What song did you say for JK? Sorry, Will?
I said The Recipe.
Oh, true. Okay, I'm gonna guess again because that hook gets you going every time. It's guess again. I forget how it goes. Something like that. But yeah, it is I'll have a quick listen. Yeah, and the beat as well. It's just it's an absolute head bopper, and he can spit legit, and that's the first song I heard because before listening to the album I just went, okay, what's his biggest song? Had a listen. I was like, shit, and I've heard that song before and I had no idea it was him. So shout out to the Jays for getting me onto that. We'll go with Briggs. I might have to go Bad Apples then because
get it in there.
Song. It's the best song on the album in my opinion. And it's just the best. It's the best. Enough salad. Easy said.
It's such a
well said, very well articulate.
It's such a good, it's such a great track as a track. But then when you actually look at the lyrical context of it and the context of the song, where he's giving voice to people that are so often entirely shoved away in our society, and being like, they're my brothers. I still love these people. Yeah, they're bad apples, but what have they had to eat? It's just such a potent and brilliant song, on a thematic basis. it's top shelf. As I said, it's my favourite song. It's so good. I'll listen to it again as soon as this finishes.
I had for Briggs, I had just Sheplife. I thought, it's all the lyrics. It's just similar thing. Like, it's not about the same sort of thing, but just being from a country town, all the different like talking about well, what I said before, rat's tails, and it's pretty funny. Like a lot of it, even though it's pretty grim. But I think it's just some of his really good Australian storytelling that you don't really hear much in music. Or I don't listen to much Aussie hip hop, so it might be said a lot, but it's quite refreshing to hear lots of lyrics about things that I think all of us know about. And then for JK, I was going to say the same, Brad, but I'll say On One, just because I think it needs to be in there. Has anyone said that yet?
Sure.
No, sir.
I was going to
good.
say
Because that needs to be in there.
Good.
It's such a
Beat's
great
so
track.
good on that as well.
The hook is so bloody good
Yeah.
on that track.
It's definitely...
There you go.
Yeah, it's definitely his biggest track on there. Like, it's the most polished,
Yeah,
the
for
most, like,
Certainly, yeah.
stay with you
Yeah.
track. It rules.
Yeah.
Sick. We've chucked some songs in the playlist. Now we can do 2 truths and a lie. Alrighty. Adam, 3 statements. 2 of them are true. 1's a lie. Now, you struggled this week, didn't you?
Yeah. It wasn't that hard, but like there's definitely nothing on JK-47. Like there is nothing, so I didn't do any for him. But for Briggs, there is some, but I feel like I was gonna say the whole as a writer on Disenchantment or Disenchanted?
Not sure.
Yeah. Anyway, one of them. I knew that we probably all knew that because that was pretty big news when it happened. But anyway, we'll have a go.
Take
This
it
might be
away,
easy
my
for
man.
you. So first one. Briggs once won pub trivia at his local pub 5 weeks in a row.
Oh my God.
In high school, Briggs played guitar in a punk band. And in part 2 of Disenchantment, or Disenchanted, I don't know. Anyway, Briggs has sole writing credits on an episode titled The Dreamland Job, where Princess Bean is sick of her father, King Zong, overtaxing the citizens of Dreamland, and the princess plans to steal all the money away from her father's money vault with the help of an elf named Griffo. There you go.
Damn.
The first 2 are
It
so
has-
broad that they just could be,
Yeah.
or you could have made them up. I'm thinking number 3 is a lie because you just wanted to flex a little bit and show that you could.
Has
It also
Essentially write an
sounds like you
episode.
might have copied and pasted number 3 while...
Yeah.
As soon as you
Yeah.
got caught out, you're like...
Has anyone seen Disenchanted? We might
Fuck,
be able
that is so true, Dave. When he did that before when we were talking.
to. Yeah.
Do you have a
Yeah.
name for the punk band or like?
No.
Awesome. Any the pub trivia? That's pretty random.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, he is...
It's pretty random, man.
He is a genius.
Pretty blunt
I'd
today,
back him
Adam.
to.
Pretty random.
All right,
That
I'm just
might
gonna
be
have
a lie.
I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
No, I reckon number. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
He's in our heads.
Maybe
I'm
this
gonna
is
go-
the best
I'm gonna
week
go the
yet
first
because
one.
they're so broad.
And he could have just done the over info bomb on the third one, like maybe.
Yeah.
God damn.
Who knows?
Who's gonna make up a lie that elaborate?
Yeah. Adam will. He will. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm going with 1. Pub trivia is a lie. I reckon that's just something Adam has made up. I'm going with pub trivia is a lie.
Yeah,
What's everyone else doing?
I'm going pub trivia is a lie because I don't know where that would be publicly available to know.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay,
I might as
you're all
well.
going one?
I might go pub. Yeah, number 1.
All right. You're all idiots.
Far out. That's only 3, wasn't it?
So, Briggs did win pub trivia in his local pub 5 weeks in a row. I found that one while we were doing Skype. While we were in the middle of this podcast. It just clicked on the first interview, and for some reason he talked about it in his interview. It was like, yeah, I've just won the last 5 weeks in a row. Apparently, he goes every Monday night.
Hell yeah.
And in high school, Briggs did play guitar in a punk band.
There you go.
So the third one, he does. That is an episode, but he doesn't have writing credits on that one.
No.
It was he has sole writing credits on a different one. So it was a
you
bit
goosed
of
us. Goosed us.
bit of
I
a
should have stuck with what I thought at the start.
yeah.
Ah, well.
Yeah, I haven't watched the show. It was definitely copy and pasted off Wikipedia. But there you go.
I think that's a couple of weeks in a row now that we've got nothing right. Like, none of us.
Scores stay the same, yeah.
Getting too good.
Yeah, the update. No updates on the rankings there. Speaking of rankings, another word that starts with R is ratings. We're going to rate these albums. How's that for a segue?
Oh, shit house.
Brilliant.
Oh.
I'm actually killing this podcast thing, boys. Yeah, we're going to give them ratings out of 10, but what is the rubric going to be, Adam?
For Briggs, I was going to go Brigosauruses,
Alrighty.
which was one of the lyrics off one of the tracks, but I can't remember which one it is now, but
All good?
it's definitely in there.
So out of
So
10 Brigosauruses.
And then 10 cheese platters.
Nice.
For JK.
For JK. All right.
Yeah.
Dave, you're going to set the tone here. We're going to do Briggs first. What are you giving out of 10 Brigosauruses for Sheplife?
Yeah, look, I reckon its high moments are just phenomenal. Like, really, like, for Hunt with Gurumul, Bad Apples, Purgatory, when it goes big, it is an absolutely phenomenal album. And there's some moments in this album that are just, you wouldn't be able to put anything but a 10 on them. There are a couple of moments, though, that really kind of bring it down for me. And I think maybe it's a little bit, like, at 15 tracks, some of the fat could have been trimmed to keep the message a bit more pure.
Yeah, I found that as well.
Kind of like Mike Tyson Love Thing was the one where it really hit me, where I was like, does this need to be in here? It's a bit of a jam. But overall, I think it's one of the best hip-hop albums of the last decade, and it 100% sets Briggs up to go on and form AB Original and make the best hip-hop album in probably Australian music history with Reclaim Australia. So I'm gonna give it 8. I think 8. What am I giving it? Brigosauruses.
Brigosauruses.
Yeah, 8 Brigosauruses. It's got
That's
some
the one
absolute
for
10
you.
out of 10 moments, but it's just got a little bit of length, and it's got a little bit of that kind of second album feeling out who you want to be as an artist still in it. But yeah, super solid. Then JK-47.
Oh, wait up.
Jumped the gun. Sorry.
We'll go.
This man's
Yeah.
keen, but we're going to go one at a time to make it a bit more, build
Suspense.
the tension in the room here. All right, Adam,
Yeah.
out of 10 Brigosauruses.
I'm also going to go 8. I'm kind of new to Australian hip hop. Weirdly, I've obviously listened to it a lot on Triple J, but other than that, I just never really got into it. But this album, I really got into. I just think that the lyrical content and his storytelling is just so pungent. I guess it's just it's really in your face, and you can't help it but pay attention. I think that some of the instrumentation is really good, but I think I didn't find it as, maybe just because his voice is so prominent on all the tracks, I didn't find them as compelling as maybe on JK-47's. I actually found some of the production on there more memorable, but that might just be off a 1 week listen, and that's why. But there you go. I'll give it an 8.
Cool. Bradley?
Sure.
Yeah.
I had a 7 out of 10 Brigosauruses here. I just think super long track listing. That's what obviously what you guys said. All that I agree with everything you guys have just said. Just arcing back on that. Just a bit more concise, just to get that message across a bit better. Yeah, Mike Tyson's love song. I love Joyride. He's the bloke that he got scratchies on his rider when they came to Cambridge, and that is the most genius thing I've ever heard.
And he started Engadine Macca's.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, just there's a couple of tracks I was like, I'm not really that much of a fan of. But and I like my hip hop kind of a bit more trappy these days. I think the whole boom bap thing's a bit I'm just not all about it. I'd rather have had my head bopping in a bit faster, just like with more trap-inspired beats. So, yeah. 7 out of 10.
Cool. I'm going to back you up there, Brad. Going 7 out of 10 as well. I think with Aussie hip-hop, I've been scarred by the bands or the acts that were kind of pushed in the mid-2010s or early 2010s. And it kind of turned me off it a little bit. But hearing this album, Sheplife, throughout the week, it rocks. It actually rocks, this album, and his lyrical content and the way he presents it goes so hard and it hits you, and you can't turn a blind eye to it as well at the same time, which I think is really strong. But yeah, pretty long. Back half of the album wasn't as into as the first half, but yeah, 7 out of 10. Briggosaurus is for me. Now, Dave, what are you giving JK-47 made for this out of 10 cheese platters?
Cheese platters with cheddar and extra feta, extra cheese.
Feta and cheddar.
Feta and cheddar.
I love that there's an idea that is written down a recipe and it's literally just feta and cheddar. Yeah, that's not a recipe, my man. But yeah, I think this album it is raw, and there's elements to it where you can see just how much talent this MC has and what they're going to grow into. But it does. I found myself kind of washing into a few moments of it and phasing out and then coming back into it. So I don't think it's got quite the highs, but when you listen to it and you just get into JK's flow, and when you get into his lyrics and you hear what he's actually saying, it really elevates it. I think production-wise, like, I would have given this a flat 5, but JK's voice and what he's able to do with his voice really elevates it up for me. So I'm going to give it a 7 cheese platters, some camembert, some brie, some blue Stilton, some camembert with some truffle in it, bit of cheddar, and some Mersey Valley.
That is
beautiful.
Some hell of a
cheese
spread. Adam, what's your cheese platter looking like?
I'm going to give it a 7 total cheese platters. Similar sort of thing. I think just in comparison to Briggs, because they are speaking about a lot of the same like themes and things like that. It kind of does seem like Briggs is like the like the evolution a little bit. Like he's like a very fully formed artist, whereas there's a lot of potential on JK's album, but there are, you know, little parts in it that don't stand out as much. I really enjoyed he has a lot of like, there's a lot of diverse sounds that he's got on there, like on Full Speed where he kind of sings a little bit as well, and he's got a really, I think he's got a lot to give in the future. But 7, which is very decent for a debut, but 7 cheese boards.
Epic. Truly epic. All right, Brad.
I'm going to back both these up. I think the number of cheese platters will be 7. I think, there's like an amateurish like quality to this that I really, really like. And that's what I like with a lot of like my hip hop. I really like Playboy Cardi for like the same thing, just how like raw and like doesn't care how polished it is. It's super, not amateurish, but they just don't care. It's just all about the bars and the feeling that you get from listening to it, and you can definitely hear it. I think he's got so much to offer to Australian music in the future, and he's so young, so I'm only expecting better things and bigger things. So, and I can catching him live would be sick as well. Yeah. So I'll be chasing that up. So 7.
Cool. See, I did 7 for Sheplife, and I liked that album more, so I'm gonna have to go 6 for JK. I think I think the album needed a few more hooks, but his flow and his execution is like really, really good. And if he's only been doing this for not very long, he's definitely got a future, that boy, for sure. So I think we'll be hearing about him a lot more. So it's a classic case of like debut album. Like there's obviously going to be some standouts and a couple of duds, but totally 6. So 6 for him, and that gives us actually pretty close, heaps close. 30 out of 40 for Briggs' Sheplife and 27 out of 30 for JK-47. So Briggs Well done.
Gets a dub.
Briggs gets the dub in the first week of
Nice.
Oz
Yeah.
Music Month. That's epic. Truly epic stuff.
Fuck yeah.
Unreal.
Dave,
Fucking oath.
thank
Fair
you
play, mate.
so much for bringing these albums in.
Absolutely no worries. What a pleasure. Anytime.
Legit.
For sure.
Next week, we're keeping this Oz music train rolling. Melbourne-based artist and absolute one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. Nathan Wong is coming on the show. And
Hell yeah.
What a
this is
grab.
gonna
What
be
a
kind of
legend.
weird because we're doing. So first of all, the first album we're doing Slowly, and their most recent album Race Car Blues, and it's going up against Don't Let Go by Dear Seattle. For all podcast listeners, we know we've had Bray from Dear Seattle on the show, so we're going to be dishing on his album and the lads' album from Dear Seattle next week. So that should be really, really fun. But they're two damn solid current Australian rock bands, so it's going to be a pretty good week of listening, I'd say.
Hell yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
unreal.
2 Aussie legends in a row on this pod.
Yeah, Dave, Nathan.
Nathan is like, honestly, I've done, during lockdown, we did a couple of Unearthed Super User Zoom calls, and I just couldn't get over his energy through the entire thing. Like, I just fell in love with him so much.
Yeah, he's going to out-pod us so
This
well.
podcast will
He's
be
gonna
his
be
by
running
the end of
show.
next week.
We played a show with him in Melbourne, and there was almost no one at the show. It was kind of just us and him, and it was still the funnest night ever because he was just kind of jumping around the room, and it felt like
Hell yeah.
there was heaps of people there. There
Because
really
we didn't have a sound guy either. So
Didn't
he
have
was
a sound
running
guy.
He just
Oh
like
my
sorted
God.
us.
at the
We
sound
kind of
desk.
became best friends by the end of it.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
We only just met him and then had the best night.
That's unreal.
And look at us now. He's coming on the pod, baby. Full circle.
Yeah,
Let's
beautiful.
go.
That is the
Let's
beauty
go.
of life, I believe. So thank
Yeah.
you so much, Dave, for coming on. Dave, where can the good people find you and Laundry Echo?
I just search those 2 words, Laundry Echo. Fortunately,
pretty simple, isn't it?
You'll only find the series song that is named after and a couple of laundromats and then me. Yeah. They're on Facebook, Instagram,
third
and
place
Twitter.
is still on the podium.
Yeah.
Hey, that's good stuff. Make sure you follow us on the socials at Record Royale. Join the Facebook group. A couple of days ago, we posted, because Oz Music Month is 5 episodes. We've got 4 guests coming on. One episode, we decided to throw out the album suggestions to the group, and they've picked a pretty wild one. But you can still get in there and vote on what albums you want, because it's pretty much
Please
sorted.
vote.
But yeah, get in the
Please.
Facebook group, the Record Royale Epic Facebook group Royale. Search that one on Facebook. Thank you so much, Dave. That's all the time we got tonight on the pod. We'll see you next week with Nathan.
Fucking
Dear
hell.
Seattle, slowly. Catch you later, everyone. Thank you so much.
See you, mate. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Bye.